welcome back to A Defense of the Awkward Moment. I am joined today once again by the most excellent Michael Zupon, and with me today as well is Jason Holmes and Minnie Beechner. We're going to talk about Wonder Woman today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a little Johnny-come-lately when it comes to the movie, I confess. But I think everybody else here now has been to see it twice.
Yes,
twice now for the movie. Heck of a thing. For the people that aren't just absolutely rabid Wonder Woman fans, shame on you.
Right.
Yeah, I was kind of blown away when I was doing my research for all of this that 1941 was when Wonder Woman first appeared. All-Star Comics number 8. I had no idea that the IP. Can you call it an IP?
She doesn't look as old as she is.
No, she's aged
really
very
well.
She wears her age well.
What's
She's
crazy?
immortal, I think, right?
Well, she's a god.
We're gonna get into that because I got questions.
The crazy thing about all that I find really, really cool. There are a lot of superheroes in comics that appear for the first time in somebody else's comic, and they riff on them and they riff on them and they riff on them for issue after issue until finally years later they get their own comic. Less so with Wonder Woman. The first comic with Wonder Woman in it was in October of 1941, and by January of 1942. She was on the front of her own comic, and that completely and totally blows me away.
Well, it was the war, you know. Women had to step up and do the job because men were all off at the front.
Wasn't that what Rosie Rivet was supposed to be doing?
Well, see, so they needed their own hero.
Yeah.
I think I read something too about the person who created Wonder Woman. He was trying to come up with a new concept for a character, and his wife and he both had said, "Why don't you make it a woman?" So. I mean, it's a little bit, and there was just something going on at that time period, definitely, that
was very
possibly related to the World War or something.
Empowering for women, the whole Victory Garden, and
if the Wikipedia is to be believed, and you can take with that what you want, the gentleman that created Wonder Woman actually based it on another woman that was living with him and his wife at the time, Olivia.
Don't know that one.
They had an open marriage. That is the
Olivia. Somebody or another, but she actually wore bracelets. Was known to wear big bulky bracelets, which was apparently one of the inspirations for how they drew Wonder Woman. Yeah, you guys have opened to see the movie twice. We just got back from it. What'd you think?
oh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I liked the fact that you thought it was a plausible story of origin, like how you gave us a reason for her to just have that like flashback moment by moment. I mean, 2-hour movie, but I felt like it set it up well and justified why she would be here now and why, like, just obviously it lays the groundwork for Justice League in the fall.
Or why she between World War I and the current events, because she goes through World War II, Vietnam, all those others that she didn't jump in to help.
Right.
So,
was it as good? Was it as good the second time?
Oh, absolutely. I cried again.
Themyscira. Holy moly. A lot of people have online oh my god, it was amazing. Themyscira was the best part of the whole movie. They could have done the entire frapping movie in Themyscira, not just because there were colors in Themyscira. Are you listening, DC? It was just the culture there that was on display in the movie, the architecture that was there, all of it. I was just absolutely fascinating.
Paradise Isle, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I was super duper stoked. Here we are in the first 15 minutes of the freaking movie, and there are battleships. There are battleships on the beach. A not so subtle nod to wartime in U.S. history, I might add, but still very well done. I want more of that. I want more of that. I want to watch. I'm not going to lead the army. No, that was just a phalanx of Amazons on the beach that put boot to ass.
Right.
And everybody likes killing Nazis.
Yeah.
So
now, can she in the comic books in the written world? Can she go back to the island or not? I don't know.
She said her mother said she may never come back, and that she may be killed out in the real world. There's nothing preventing her from going.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
It almost felt like an omen, though. Like it was implied. Like this breaks some kind of barrier.
In the
as if you couldn't
in certain sources of this. In certain sources of Wonder Woman, because DC's been rebooted and switched around and who done, as much as Marvel, if not more at this point. I had thought, and anybody who happens to know the answer for this, by all means, chime in the comments. I had thought that maybe in the original mythology for Wonder Woman, that she was dismissed from the island. That if you go to the world of men, you may not come back. But I don't. I guess I'm kind of not sure how that was represented here, because like you said, you may not return. I'm not sure if I'll get my daughter back, as opposed to if you leave, don't come back. If you walk out that door, don't come back. Yeah, super duper awesome.
Yeah.
I dug the snot out of Themyscira. One of the things that everybody, and we talked about this a little bit in the theaters, one of the things that everybody seemed to have a problem with online was the lighting in the movie, and that's been a problem with DC movies since the very beginning. Yeah, the scenes at night on the beach in Themyscira were a little bit dark, but for me anyway, and I'm kind of using myself as the barometer for what's difficult to see at this point, they weren't so dark that they were unseeable. Mm-hmm. I kind of ripped apart King Arthur, The Legend of the Sword, a couple of weeks ago for having just really, really horrible lighting, horrible cinematography. That, if anybody has been to see King Arthur, is the barometer for bad lighting. I didn't think this was bad at all. Visually, I thought really just everything in the movie was really, really well done. And this is the point where I have to stand up because I didn't do this at the beginning of the clip. Spoilers: Here There Be Dragons. For anybody who I realize that I'm several weeks late with this after the launch of the movie, but nothing is sacred. So yeah, spoilers. If you haven't gone to see the movie yet, go see the movie. Go see the movie. I'm going to make a statement now. Easily the best of the movies in DC's current stable,
without question,
of films. And I'll go ahead. Far better than Batman versus Superman: Yawn of Justice. I absolutely think that Wonder Woman was the best part of that by far. Whoever thought about using an electric violin as the theme for Wonder Woman was absolutely frapping brilliant. There are a lot of folks that, it's even better than the Nolan Batman movies. I don't necessarily know that I would say that it was better than the Nolan Batman movies, but it was certainly on par.
It was more of a superhero movie than the Nolan Batman movies.
Without question. And it's difficult with everything that surrounds The Dark Knight. It's difficult to compare anything to that because it was such a remarkable movie for so many different reasons. But especially in the current stand of movies. So good. In the current stand of superhero movies. So good. The only thing, there were lots of little quibbles that I have, and we'll get into those in a minute. But from a visual standpoint, the only thing that I really had kind of a big problem with is I thought Ares looked a little hokey. But I'm not sure how.
Professor Lupin.
I'm still waiting for him to pull out his wand and Expelliarmus, the sword of truth, out of his hand.
But isn't that the context of it? Maybe though, is to make it so it's not a typical God of War. I mean, not some big buff guy. It's not
like hiding in plain sight. I thought it was more of he's hiding in plain sight.
They could have CGI'd something. An actor that looks more threatening as a God of War. He could have shapeshifted
instead of Lupin.
Could have morphed.
Instead of Lupin, they could have grabbed and as a character before the big reveal. I have no idea what the name of the guy who plays Lupin is. I don't know. Yeah, I got nothing.
I don't know.
As his character before the big reveal in the movies, he was fine. But holy moly, when they went and actually played the Ares card. A kind of willowy British gentleman with a face with a lip ferret is not the God of War.
And he certainly shouldn't have had the lip ferret back when he was the God of
War.
Yeah. When they did the flashback and he still has the lip ferret.
In no Greek fresco ever is Zeus sitting there with a 70s with a porn stash.
Yes.
Not ever. But other than that, no. I thought it was a fantastic movie.
The only other problem I had with the visuals was, this will get into a larger critique, but once the lasso of truth turned into the electrified doodle on the screen, it no longer looked like a rope.
It just looked
like an electric squiggle. During that last fight, it was just.
Yeah, at the point where I tell you what it looked a whole lot more like, and I suspect this was probably what they were choreographing its movements off of. Is there's a weighted chain used in Oriental combat.
Sorry.
Yeah, with the weighted ball on the end, and a lot of it's there's a lot of wrapping it around your legs and this and that and the other to shorten it or lengthen it or to have it make drastic movements, and I kind of think that's the way
Well, I think if it was like that, it would be a little better because at the beginning she uses it to target things, to lasso them, pull them, use it like that. Whereas I think to your point, it's almost like the flag thing in the Olympic sport where they're more doing the design pattern, ribbon pattern. Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong. Regardless of the physics of the realism, and I was still cool as balls.
Oh, it was cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But no, a little bit of a throwback to Civil War and Spider-Man's call. Like, you know that thing doesn't obey the laws of physics.
Yeah, exactly right.
Cap Shield and Diana's whip.
I will say this about lighting. So I hadn't read your critiques online. I try to not read a lot of them anymore, just to go to.
You should read mine.
I watch yours. I don't have to read it. So, but the lighting for me, it didn't bother me that much. I mean, I tried to pay more attention to it because we talked about it a little bit at the beginning. But I mean, maybe that's a part of it. Maybe though, you have this Paradise Island, nice and colorful. Everything's good.
But even night on Paradise Island was too
but also you're getting ready to leave the island, right? You're getting ready to go to the world of man and the tainting of corruption and all this stuff. So maybe it was foreboding. And then of course you get to London. It's just horribly smoggy and dark. And I thought it was very good. I mean, that's a good contrast.
Can we talk about geography?
No, we're not going to talk about that. The island exists in all places.
He had a problem with this while we were in the movie. He turned and looked at me, and I was like, "Hold on to it, hold on to it. You'll have an opportunity." Go ahead. All
right. So Themyscira is somewhere in the Mediterranean, we presume, based on the culture and the architecture and the fact that Steve Trevor flew a monoplane from somewhere in Turkey to Themyscira. So it has to be somewhere within a couple 100 miles of the Turkish coast. They get on their little sailboat, they go to sleep, and they wake up in the Thames.
And Diana slept through all that too.
Deep sleeper. Deep sleeper's the Amazons.
And they caught a ride.
On the Concorde?
On a giant!
On the Orient Express?
on a giant tugboat, and Diana doesn't wake up. Deep sleepers, the Amazons, trained warriors.
So geography.
So yes, that thing bothered me a little bit in the movie as well. The concept that they went from X to Z instantaneously or after one night,
and then getting back to the front. He hires those guys for 2 days. They go from London to somewhere deep in Belgium, including a probably night crossing of the North Sea.
I will say this though.
Infested waters.
I will say this though. Do you find that you enjoy movies more if they're trying to show that transition point, like whether it's the train going to Harry Potter school or something like that?
You don't have to show it, but don't presume that you go to sleep in the middle of the Mediterranean and wake up in London.
Right. I agree with that.
At the other end of the spectrum, you end up with the Lord of the Rings. So what are they doing now? No, they're walking. They're walking.
Many scenes of beautiful Australia or New Zealand.
Not to be confused with Australia. One has death-dealing spiders. The other has hobbits.
True.
I have friends that are touring Hobbit Town today.
They're to what now?
I have friends that are touring all of that.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Super jealous.
Yeah, I know. Right?
And they didn't take you. You've got crappy friends.
They let me see the pictures.
Wherever you are, take Minnie next time.
Oh,
she needs a vacation.
Wow. So jealous. Would love to do that. Really, really would. Yeah, the movie. One of the things, if we're going to pick nits here, and I feel that I have to pick nits at least a little bit, I found Diana's seemingly inexhaustible knowledge about X and Y and Z to be a little suspect on certain things. With all of the crazy stuff that she's read and all the literature that she's had access to, especially if we're talking about Greek mythology here, it's not like the Greeks were saints or anything.
Right.
How in the world is she still so ignorant of the folly of man?
Because they blamed it all on Ares. But this gets
I don't really have a good argument for that.
This gets from little nit to giant scab for me.
Ooh.
Because this is my main core problem with the movie. And it's not the fault of the director. It's the fault of whoever came up with the idea of the plot.
And that is?
The Amazons were put on Earth to protect the world from Ares sometime in Greek, somewhere BC.
Yeah.
Apparently, Hippolyta took that as, I'm not going to do anything for the next 4,000 years. Pay no attention to the world around me, and raise my daughter, who apparently takes 4,000 years to grow up. Because Zeus empowered the clay doll of Diana when he died, which is when he killed Ares the first time, Diana apparently spent the next 3,000, 4,000 years growing up and is just now getting around to going out into the world. But during that time, there was a lot of war.
Yeah, but they don't know what's going on in the world. So.
Because apparently Hippolyta was ignoring her job to protect the world from Ares. And getting into that, how did the Amazons learn languages that didn't develop until after Greek? How did they know English, Russian, modern German,
I had
French?
a huge problem with that too.
Because apparently they went onto their little island in ancient Grecian times and then somehow received knowledge of languages but didn't receive any knowledge of technology.
Themyscirian Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Amelia Earhart went around the world. She was a female, so it was okay.
I was
Right.
saying
She could fly in there.
Themyscirian Wi-Fi apparently has some severe content blockers on it.
Right. That's
Good
weird.
point. I don't, once again, I don't go as deep as that. Don't even think about it. But yeah, I mean, excellent point. So
It's like that is the major problem that I have with Hippolyta's rule of the Amazons is that she ignored her job.
Mm-hmm.
If they had people out there learning the languages, bringing back the culture and stuff, you would think that they would have paid attention to the Crusades. They were right next door.
I know, but we're gonna chill it out here.
There's Holy Land's right there. What's going on? A lot of people not killing each other. Diana, don't look.
and the battles would have been a little more in line with what they're trained for. So that
Yeah,
would-
I mean,
Right.
you would have thought
That's
that.
true.
You would have thought that if your job is to protect the planet, you might have learned about a firearm technology that's been around since the 1500s.
It does demonstrate the superiority of mounted cav on a beach, though.
Only for an unprepared opponent.
That's fair.
If they'd had time to form up into a rank, there would have been a lot more dead horse.
I want to go ahead and since we're talking about picking nits, now I want to go ahead and talk about the 800-pound nit in the room here, which is going to segue kind of into the second half of what I wanted to talk about here today. By now, I shouldn't have to tell anybody who's watching this and anybody who's got access to the internet about how heaped upon with praise this movie is by women everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and use the word feminist, and I'm certain that there are now probably a million different definitions of it. But as a movie that is... there's so many different stories surfacing on the internet now about how it's Wonder Woman's she's an idol and something to be looked up to and this and that and the other. I have to the moment when it really stuck out to me in the movie for some reason when she discovers the power in her bracers for the first time, that pulled me out of the movie so hard. That I'm sorry, I didn't mean to this and that and the other, and your mother's yelling at didn't anybody stop and go, whoa, ha! What the fuck? What just happened here? I know she went ass over tea kettle over there, which is kind of a rare thing. What just happened here? But no, instead she went and ran off, and that
Took
was
a
kind
moment,
of
yes.
But she was
But
looking
that
at
was-
herself, trying to figure it out. She's something inside of her.
that,
Everybody kept pushing her, telling her she could do more. She was stronger. She had things. She was different from everybody else.
and I just kind of that with how much of a rich warrior women power, her reaction to all that kind of threw me a little bit.
I think it's just because she was the only one that could do that, and that's why it was the shock. I mean, they all were equally amazed, because otherwise, if it had been common, everybody else would have had that ability.
Yeah. So the shock I don't disagree with at all. But the suddenly gasping and then the running off is kind of a trope in cinema for women, that how they frequently get written over and over and over again in the movies. Something crazy happens and the woman can't handle it, and so and then she runs off screen. That's really what this kind of felt like here. Instead of going, okay, I'm a little confused. Can somebody please explain what the hell just happened? Rather than just freaking out and running off the screen.
I don't know. Is that a more feminine reaction, to take a moment and you have to get your emotions in order?
The way I read it was that she was more taken aback that she hurt the general and she hurt her aunt, and like she caused physical harm to her, which didn't typically happen.
That's fair.
I mean, I feel like it was more
they're
of a
fighting with live blades there at practice. So
right, but I mean, who's the fiercest on
blade
of the Amazons? And it's the general, and for her to like literally knock her on her ass, and oh, you're bleeding. I think it was the ownership of, my God, what have I done?
That's General Buttercup to you, by the way.
I wondered. Was that
Yes.
that Robin Wright?
Yes.
Yeah, I wondered. I really, and I thought it was super duper cool that that's where she ends up getting the tiara from.
Yes.
I thought that was a really neat, really neat kind of a thing. Because all the different gifts of the gods and this and that and the other. There's the sword, there's the shield, there's the booty armor, but
And the lasso.
tiara. And the lasso. I can't forget the rope.
Right.
So what about the rest of the movie? What other parts of the movie, though, do you think tie back to that feminist, either strength enforcing or taking away from that feminist?
Freaking everything in Themyscira, and there's been a lot of really neat articles online about the women that they cast as the Amazonian warriors, and there were boxers and there were stunt doubles and there were female fitness models and bodybuilders. And there are a lot of neat stories
That's
running
really
around
cool.
the internet right now that talk about the kind of camaraderie that they all had when they were
Yes.
training in this and that. And that, by God, regardless of how right or wrong this is, the as Jason scoots away, I don't know what he's about to. I don't know what he's about to say next, but I don't want to be anywhere near him. I thought
Gotta move away from me.
that there.
Right.
I thought that it was the camaraderie on display there. Never once in any of that, and I just thought it was so well done. Feminism gets a really bad knock in media today, because generally when you think about feminism, at first blush you think of the angry lesbian.
Right.
Oh, she's and there are so many different shades of it and so many different definitions of it, and a lot of great men and women both have stepped forward and identified themselves as feminism in the best possible way. But not once, while the entire first act of that movie when they were on Themyscira, not once did I ever get even a single whiff of being angry or upset at the male gender, or being superior, or being anything like that. That was all just so well done. The cinematography was well done. The set dressings, the scripting for all of it. That entire environment there. Not once did you get the whiff of the sadly traditional, stereotypical angry feminism.
Right.
I thought that was so stinking cool.
Yeah.
It was classy.
Yeah, that's an excellent term. For as much as everybody, I mean, I was kind of sad for how much scrutiny this movie has been under.
Right.
Just waiting for it to not be everything that it was. And by gosh, sitting here now at the end of it, having watched it, you guys now having watched it twice, I'm not sure if there was a single misstep in the entire film in terms of how they handled that. It was, as you say, so well done, so classy. The entire thing there.
A little stab at the men. How they're
No!
just there for procreating and no pleasure at the end.
That was the fish out of water stuff, and they could have made an entire movie.
Yes, yes,
That was an Oscar-winning rom-com just for those two
Yeah.
running around. On a boat.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was fun.
No, I just thought the whole thing was so well. The whole thing was so well done, and there was so much pressure on it to be good, and it bore it very, very well. I think it bore it very, very well. Which then leads into the set of more difficult questions that I have. Not nearly as fun and amusing. Is this a great movie? Is it a great movie for women, or is it both?
I'd say both. But I think to say it's a great movie for women, are you saying for women as in this is like your time now, you could be proud of this, or as in this is good for you because you'll enjoy it? I think if you have to classify it, then you demean the fact that it's a great movie.
So, Let me, I guess, go ahead and clarify that a little bit. Kind of a tie-in because we've got Chris Pine here. I'm a rabid Star Trek fan, and when they rebooted Star Trek with Chris Pine, I had a huge problem with it for many reasons that we will not go into here. I think of all the Star Trek movies that they're all pretty good movies, but none of them are very good Star Trek movies. And that distinction kind of here, Wonder Woman as a whole, is it a great movie? Yeah, I think it's an absolutely fantastic movie. But the legions of people out there that women can look up to this movie and women can this and women can that. Is it also, apart from just being a good movie in general, is it also a great movie for the young to look up to as a role model and for those who are older to feel proud about? And for me, for my money, I would say yes to both. I really, really would. I really thought it was a good movie.
Well, it's certainly more of a movie for kids to look up to than the Nolan Batmans or the modern Snyder Supermans.
The Superman thing, I can totally understand. I want Batman's toys.
Yeah, but if you actually just look at the hero, he doesn't have a lot of fun. I mean, it's not like the Christopher Reeve Superman. You wanted to be him because he had a good time.
Yeah.
Flew around, picked up kids out of trees, picking up helicopters, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Zack Snyder's Superman looks, like he's having a bad day at work.
That's true.
Every day.
No argument there at all.
And Wonder Woman had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So the movie is enjoying incredible success at the box office right now. Is it fair to say that some of the success that it's enjoying is because of the content? Specifically
superhero content? Wonder Woman's
because
content?
Because of the lightning rod for attention to women that the movie has become. Regardless of whether or not that's why it was made, the media circus surrounding this movie as a lightning rod for feminism, for women's rights, for the empowerment of women. What are your thoughts on that being a huge part of its?
If that was all it took, the new Ghostbusters would have been much more successful than it was.
Why'd you have to bring that?
Well, no,
Because that would be an
have to
alternate
bring that
version
up?
of a similar situation. You take a known IP, you center it around women. You have the whole feminist angle on it, but the movie wasn't
good at all in
as
any
good
capacity.
as it. The problem with remaking a classic like that, unearths all sorts of problems. But the fact that it wasn't able to pull it off, undermines that argument. Wonder Woman is considered great because it is a great movie. The whole feminist angle doesn't really have anything to do with it. It was good because it was well cast, well directed, except for the third act, well executed.
You just snuck that in there.
Yeah, I think it was just a great movie. I mean, I think it was a great movie in general. I agree with Mike 100% in the context that you have a lot of movies that are about strong women and they've been around for a long time in different genres. Whether it's dramas or actions. There's even action superhero movies that have females in it, female leads, to anchor in that storyline and concept. So no, I don't think so. I think it's just a great movie in general. To your point, great story, good acting, good character, right? Got to grab somebody. Now there's a lot of feminist history that goes along with her. And I didn't realize exactly maybe how strong she was in that that aspect of the world, if you will. I mean, I grew up collecting comic books, certainly knew she was, but didn't necessarily know that she was being tied to those things. So so strongly, I guess, if you will. So
I just feel like there's a danger if you say, was this a good movie, because there was a female director, because of this, we need to get to the place where it's a good movie because it's a good movie, not because, even though it was a female director.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Once we can have that conversation and then not clarify it with, we're talking about a female director, and it was still a good movie, I think.
Finish your thought real quick, because for some reason this stopped.
But that's where I think we need to continue moving forward. So that was my whole response to you.
No, absolutely.
It should be a standalone movie just because it's a great movie.
I agree completely. I agree. I 100%. And I'm really. we don't have video right now. Sorry, guys. The video dropped out.
Ready?
Yeah. We got video again. Yay.
Hey.
sorry for the break in video there. It's the first time we've done this, kind of learning still. I absolutely love the statement that you made during the break in the video. And I really, really like that this whole group of people kind of are expressing similar sentiments. Because I agree 100% with your thought that it's great because it's great. There doesn't have to be any particular underlying reason. It can be enough that it's just a really, really great movie. There doesn't have to be any ulterior motive to it whatsoever.
And the fact that people can read more into it's just fantastic. It's like a lot of stories, a lot of books, a lot of experiences, right? I mean, everybody goes into it, they get to take something else out of it, and I think that's probably that lightning rod that's allowing it to be so popular. Maybe it's because people want more out of it sometimes they don't. And but just from a pure entertainment perspective, it was fantastic. A lot of the ideas that we've shared here are fantastic. Even with all the little scabs or whatever you guys call it. That,
the little ones are nits, the big ones are.
But overall, overall, it was definitely a movie worth seeing again, and something to own on DVD. It's just that good of a story for me. I think part of it for me too is I think I enjoy just those underdog type characters, and I picture her. Going out into she's a naive person who's not experienced in the world for whatever reasons, and so the fact that she's just going to go out there and do what she can do, like on the front, I'm just going to go out there and do this. And that was it's a cool scene for one, but she's just going out there and doing it. She's kicking butt, taking names, and
the No Man Land scene was a good
that's
one.
a phenomenal scene to me just because it shows power and. Well, this is what I believe in. I'm just going to stick to it. I'm just going to go, and it inspires other people. I mean, that's my,
Sure.
I'm not a movie critic, but that would be how I'd say, here she is inspiring people. They're moving forward because of her leadership. So
congratulations, you're a movie critic now.
I know. I have opinions, but
If you have opinions, you're a movie critic. That's pretty much the definition right there.
Everybody's going to know about them. Yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to go see it with me and taking the time to sit and talk about this. We will do this again.
Right.
We will absolutely do this again. Until then, thanks for watching. Keep your eye on the blog. That's not paused.
We'll just edit the videos.
So for me, I think I'm not as aware of that. What?
Your hair is on.
Yeah, I look cool for
No, we don't have hair and makeup. So.
That's going on the video.
That thing did bother me.
That'll go on the bloopers reel at the end. That's what's going to happen.
Save your insight for when we're recording again.
That's funny.